I'm Dr. Lawrence Eichenfield from the University of California, San Diego, and Rady Children's Hospital, and happy to be talking about the new nemolizumab data, which is looking at the efficacy of nemolizumab in children 2 to 11 years of age. First of all, my background is sort of excited to be looking at this study because, as we know, atopic dermatitis involves lots of children as a pediatric predominant disease. And this is looking at a younger age group, nemolizumab having been well established now as a treatment for atopic dermatitis, and including adolescents and adults. And this is really the first data set to look at nemolizumab in a younger age group. So by background, the way the study was designed, just to set it up, is that there were 3 cohorts. It was set sort of what I call a gated study, where first the older children were looked at, and really the principle of the study was based upon getting a dosing that would have about the same pharmacokinetic exposure as the adolescents and adults, as that they could then go on and do the dosing at the and sort of back into that whole set of experience with nemolizumab. So there were 3 cohorts, and the first cohort was the older children. So those were the 7 to 11-year-olds. And actually, in that study, the pharmacokinetic levels of the dosing was used was was high, and higher exposure, than we had seen in the higher exposure than expected and that had seen in the adolescent adult study. So they redid the dose and then did cohort 2 of that older age group, and then went on to do the younger age group of the 2 to 6-year-olds. So that's important just to looking at the data, because when it comes to most of the data points, we'll really be stressing the cohort 1.1 and cohort 2, which were the groups that were studied at the expected dosage. And the First of all, it was a population had standard background criteria, which were similar to those in terms of the severity of atopic dermatitis. About a quarter of the patients having severe atopic dermatitis, 75% moderate. Easy scores about 26.7, I think, was baseline, and a high body surface area involvement as well at baseline at about between 38 and 39. And we have so the outcomes in the study included both the 16-week outcomes and a 1-year use, as well as, of course, the safety data at both of those standpoints. So first, I'd say the summary from a safety standpoint is that the drug did very well. It had essentially similar side effect profile as seen in the adolescents and adults, very low discontinuations of the study. In fact, only 1 patient discontinued the study due to a treatment emergent adverse events, and nothing especially remarkable otherwise from the safety standpoint. It was very well tolerated. The efficacy standpoint was really quite exciting. So if we look at our global success, that's clear and almost clear, at least that 2-step drop in improvement, but patients were moderate severe at baseline. At week 16, we had in the high 40s, about 47% of patients made it clear to almost clear in the cohorts. So it was 47.2% actually in the 2 to 6-year-olds made it to clear or almost clear. And the EASI-75 was in the 67 to 75% range. So you're getting close to a 75% EASI-75 at 16 weeks in the 2 cohorts, which is really quite impressive data. Itch relief, I can't say as expected, but it is sort of as expected. Nemolizumab has shown a great efficacy in that older population, and itch relief was very, very rapid with a separation a potent change as early as week 1, with 72% of the children aged 2 to 6 and 59% of the children achieving a 4-point drop in itch. Now, remember, this is not a placebo-controlled study. This is an open label study, but you see very rapidly a high percentage of patients who make it to that a quick 4-point drop in itch. And then the extension study down to 52 weeks also shows impressive continued results in this population. I particularly am excited by the EZ90 numbers, with the 16-week EZ90 improvement being 51.4% in the 7 to 11-year-olds and 55.6% in the 2 to 6-year-olds. The 2 to 6-year-olds seemingly responding even more, and that's at 16 weeks, and it continues on approaching the high 60s to 70% EZ90 at week 52 as well. So a nice data set for both efficacy and safety, and the first time we've seen these Nemolizumab numbers for younger children in both of these cohorts. It's going to be very intriguing to see how this gets used in this younger population. We've really had minimal sets of drugs other than our traditional immunosuppressants, especially in the United States, where we don't have approval of oral JAKs under age 12, and other countries in the world they might. But predominantly our experience is with dupilumab, and there's no comparative studies here. Nemolizumab, what it shows is that it shows this high efficacy through really a different immunologic pathway than we see with either IL-13 blockade or IL-4/13 blockade. But what this data shows is that the success is profound in terms of itch, but also with very impressive impact on our objective measures of eczema as well. The global score being the overall sense of the eczema, and then that detailed EASI score, which is looking at both the extent and severity of disease. This was an open label a trial in this population. I think the data plays well in terms of its efficacy and safety. Now, the next step of work has to be done by the company along with regulatory agencies to figure out what's the pathway for approval. And I'm not going to project on that, whether other studies are going to need to be done to expand the label to this younger population or not. It'll be, I think, very intriguing. We know that the atopic dermatitis really has profound effects, and has profound effects on the patients and the families before under age 12. So I think it'll be very interesting to see how this gets developed and how quickly we can have it in our hands as we look for different medications to help benefit this population.